What's up, music fans of the internet? I'm Derek.
And I'm Kevin.
And together, we're last week's album, where we're bringing you the only reviews with two different views. And this week, we're talking about Holding Hands with Jamie by Girl Band. And we're asking the big question, what makes this noise rock so abrasive, yet so addictive? Before we go any further, we're going to start things off like we always do, drinking a beer. Cheers, Kevin. Cheers, everyone at home.
But why are you drinking water, Derek?
Well, Kevin, I'm drinking sparkling water because I'm recording to you live from a hostel in Galway, Ireland. And, well, I can't drink beer in here and the Wi-Fi not be so great. So, as they say, a hostile Wi-Fi is sometimes a hostile Wi-Fi. So apologies in advance for any tech difficulties, but we're going to be rolling with the punches like we always do here at last week's album. Girl Band, they are a quartet from Ireland, ironically enough, and they're actually playing in the town where I'm at, Galway, the day after tomorrow, but unfortunately I won't be here. Although, disclaimer, Kevin and I did see these guys play at South by Southwest earlier this year in 2015, where they put on a killer show and were instantaneously hooked on their sound. This album, Holding Hands with Jamie, is their first full-length album and follows an EP called Early Years that was released in April of 2015. So that's some background. Now, why don't we talk about what they sound like? Kevin, what did you think?
Sure, Derek. I think this album sounds like Nine Inch Nails and LCD Soundsystem watching Requiem for a Dream together. What do you think?
Kevin, consider my mind blown. But I think Girl Band sounds like balls to the wall rock and roll. And I know that sounds terrible, but I stand by it. Key tracks. Kevin, what do you think?
I've got Pears for Lunch and Paul. What about you?
Those are good. I'm going with Umbongo and Texting an Alien. So why don't you start us off?
Sure. Pears for Lunch, number 2 on the album. As the band describes it, it's the idea of wearing one face that is at odds with exactly how you feel, which I think is just a really interesting idea. And it's impulsive and visceral music juxtaposed against these really drawn out, apathetic vocals. And that sort of juxtaposition just makes it a really, really interesting listen overall. What about your first key track, Derek?
Umbongo is the opening track, and this one, for like the first 2 minutes, really seems to oscillate between these complex drum riffs and as equally complex electric guitar riffs that just, the sound of them are out of this world. Not that I want to foreshadow my next key track, Texting an Alien, but just put that in the back of your mind. Vocals enter in after about 2 minutes with real minimal instrumentation, really creating a stark contrast from the opening of the song. The lyrics kind of, at least the beginning, touch on the topic of a cannibal pigeon. Example, got in a scrap with a pigeon, claimed he was a professionally trained surgeon, wanted a bite. He didn't mind if he was a cannibal, simply liked to eat animals. So just kind of a weird mind space lyrically, but with the just intriguing sonic sounds they create. I mean, just really, really strong opening track.
Nice. My next one here is track number 5. It's called Paul. I believe it's the lead single off the album, if you can imagine a single off of this album. I don't imagine these are gonna make radio play, but hopefully they do. I think they should. Anyway, it's just the definition of a slow burner. It's this slow building tension that eventually turns into a real rager with just assaulting drums. And, it's just this kind of inevitable ending. You're waiting for it. You can feel it building, and then it just releases. And it's just really cathartic and, just crazy all at the same time. What's your next key track, Derek?
Speaking of crazy, my next key track is Texting an Alien. If you've done that, you might need to seek help. This sounds really, what drew me in was kind of this pensive drum beat, rumbling bass guitar, crisp, almost clean, bouncing electric guitar riff, which is kind of different from all their other songs. Lyrics, I think, are kind of talking about scorn of an ex-lover. Maybe she is the alien. But the one thing I really liked about this was it seemed like they were at every moment about to break into a sonic freakout that never really came. So that brings us to best lyric. Kevin, what did you have?
That does bring us to best lyric because I've got one from Texting an Alien, which I was hoping for an emoji, but didn't find one. The line here goes, "Yeah, I look at your photos to piss me off from time to time." And that's sort of a theme you hear throughout the album is this masochism and sort of self-torture and overall just brutal, brutal honesty. I mean, the backstory here is lead singer went through a breakup and then some sort of manic episodes and psychotic episodes, and that's sort of the impetus. And you can hear that in the lyrics and also feel it a whole lot in the music. So that's what I dug lyric-wise. What about you, Derek?
Man, we're echoing a lot of the same themes here, at least as far as best lyrics go. I'm taking one from one of your key tracks, so Pears for Lunch, and he says, "I look crap with my top off." Like, what's more masochistic and brutally honest than that? By the way, I look great with top off. I don't even...
I mean, you would think if you're eating pears for lunch, you would look pretty good with your top off.
One would think, you know, pears. They don't say pears away, keep the doctor away, though. So I don't know. By the way, here at last week's album, we do not give like nutrition advice.
Sure. I will start with the question. I think the abrasiveness goes with this whole theme of masochism. I mean, I love this music, and after I listen to the whole album, I kind of have to tear my headphones out and not listen to anything for a while, but I still come back, you know, later to listen to it again. So I think it's just the variety and the newness and the rawness and the visceralness of this album. And it's recorded live, which really comes through, and I think that helps make it addictive. On the pro side, I think they borrow from the repetition of techno really well without sounding like techno at all. And it creates this nice tension. No two songs are exactly alike. They play with structure and build in really fun ways. And for all its intensity, it's also really funny. Sometimes it just makes me laugh out loud how extreme they take sounds or songs or ideas. Just to take it that far is just really, really funny to me in a weird way. And I think it's a thinking man's album. It's very provocative and unforgiving and unsettling. And it's not an easy listen, but it's definitely worth it. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. What do you think?
Nice, going big. You know, I think you're exactly right. They do a lot of experimental things with sound on this album, and I think we saw that firsthand when we saw these guys play at South by Southwest. I've never really seen anything like that. I mean, you'll kind of watch the guitar player like he's not really doing anything, but the sounds are created are just amazing. They're huge, they're intimidating, but at the same time they draw you in. You know, you can't help but think, how is this going on? And I think that is the addictive side of it. You know, it's just mind-blowing. I think you're totally right. You know, the tongue-in-cheek humor sometimes is just it's unmatched. You know what? I would be remiss if I did not go anything less than a 5, as I'm here in Ireland reviewing these guys and having seen them. And I think we even talked to a handful of them after their show. These guys are fantastic. I think you're right. I'm worried maybe this won't find a radio play, but shame to radio then, but this would not be the first time that happened. So there you have it. A combined 10 out of 10 for Holding Hands with Jamie by Girl Band from Kevin and I. So yeah, you need to go check this one out like yesterday. So there you have it. Thanks again for joining us here at last week's album. Don't forget to subscribe. We're bringing you the only reviews with 2 different views. Shout out to the podcast. And as always, I'm Derek.
I'm Kevin.
Cheers, guys.